I am very welcome to this video. My name is Mia Saxon, and all my videos I share my perspective, my thoughts, and they might change. And I'm not claiming that this is the one and only truth. I don't even believe in the one and only truth. I think that there is always perceptions and perspectives. So just enjoy and take whatever you want and leave the rest. This video is about how we have been treating children, and this is not to blame parents, it's more to look at it in a broader perspective. For hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, we have been treating children quite bad all around the world in different cultures. It has been like we are the owner of the kids. The kids has had like different owners control them from from a very very bad perspective where they were like they used them as slaves, and the kids are working, and that's still going on. So I'm talking about here a lot of different perspective, but um, in the end it will be more or less the same thing. So all these children have been growing up under circumstances that is not definitely not very good, and of course it's different levels, some worse than others. And very important is that under our first, let's say, 7 years, the environment that we live in, where we are raised, is really programming us. And this is how it's meant to be, because for a kid to survive, because the kid is not grown, not born with a grown mind. A child cannot cope with the situation in an intellectual way like an adult. So nature made us this way so that kids are absorbing everything that is happening around them. They teach from absorbing the programming. They teach from what they see, what they learn, behaviors that they see others do. And we are like a sponge, like really sucking up everything, all these programs that I call them, around us. And this is in some way a very good thing, because that's how we learn the rules, we learn how to behave, we learn how to get fed, we learn how to be able to function in the society where we're supposed to live in. So there is a good thing, but of course, if we look back through history, all the terrible, terrible, terrible things that so many people have been through, as kids and of course as adults, but especially now I'm talking about the first 7 years where we really get all this programming. And even though there are so many wonderful, loving, nice people in the world who is trying to be more and more aware of this programming. And I think that if, for example, if we take 10 generations back, uh, the childhood from my grandparents, uh, this programming is within them, and that's how they will program the next generation, and so on. So in me, I have this programming from generations after generations after generation. And as long as we don't start to be aware of it and we don't do anything about it, this is like it's like an attachment. It's like an email with an attachment, and you're sending this to the next person, but the first attachment it's still there. So it's just building up more and more attachment, more and more programs. And the thing is that we need to be aware of this so that we can start to realize what this program has done to us and how we can deal with it in a better way, in a new way. And many of those lives and situations, it's very obvious that they are not a good environment for a child. For example, in situations and countries where it has been more or less legal to use children for whatever you want to, but also like in upper class families, royalties, it was also like the child were like the property. They weren't respected. You can do whatever you wanted, more or less, with the child. The child was supposed to behave and to just be what was expected from it. So, rich or poor, I think there has been problems, not a ultimate situation for a child to grow up in. So it's a different kind of, you can call it abuse, if you're born in a rich family or in a poor. It has still been a little bit of the same kind of game where child they didn't have a voice, they weren't respected, they were supposed to just follow the norms that was okay from where they were born in the situation they were born into. And all of this, of course, have been programmed them in a negative way. And in industrial countries or Western countries or more so-called developed countries, we think of us like we know how to raise kids. We don't they don't work when they are 7. We have new rules. So we think that we are like free from all those programs. But like I said, if they come from generation and attached from generation to generation, it means that we are still not free from it. And if we think that we don't have it, we can't do anything about it. And to make it clear, I can tell you an example. When my kids were small, I had this idea that I need to teach them things. They need to behave in a special way. If they didn't behave in this special way, I need to punish them. And of course, I was brought up that to hit the children was not allowed. So you need to find other ways to punish. And I remember, for example, on a Friday, I told them that they had to clean up their rooms, and if they didn't clean up the rooms, I should punish them. And the punish was like, then we are not going to do all this fun stuff on Saturday, and we are not going to do all the fun stuff on Sunday. And of course, they were rebelling, and they didn't care because they were too young to even understand the consequences. So actually, the only one who got punished was me myself, and I felt terrible, and the whole weekend was destroyed, and I had looked forward to this, nice and happy family doing things together. But because they didn't clean the room, I felt like obligated to punish them and not give them a reward for this bad behavior. And all this, like, I thought that was what I had to do. That was a program that I had inside me, and to reward them for not obeying felt totally wrong. And I thought that I should be a bad parent if I did that. And I repeated this, of course, in different similar situations, but you get the idea. And I was suffering more and more, and after a while, I was starting to ask myself, what is this? But at that point, I was still so young, so it was very difficult for me to do anything about it. And also, people didn't talk so much about those things as we do today. So repeating this pattern, the program, from, of course, a loving perspective. I didn't do this because I was a bad mom, or maybe I was a bad mom, but it wasn't my purpose to be a bad mom or to punish my kids. I thought this was the proper thing to do, and that's the tricky part with our countries who are more developed, where it's not so obvious how we abuse or mistreat or do bad things that doesn't really work, and we don't see it, we are not aware of it because we think that we are doing something that is really good for our kids. So to start to accept, admit that we are all full of these kinds of programs, and to start questioning ourselves, is this really the best thing I can do? Who is benefit from it? And is there another way you can do it? Is there a way where you can make sure that you succeed instead of failure? Because for what I did was failure for all of us. And everybody were disappointed, and we didn't have any fun, and that's not a very intelligent way to do it when you look at it from a little bit of perspective. And very common is that we say, I did it, I will never do like my parents did. They were terrible at this and they didn't do that good. But then what else can I do? Because in school, they didn't teach me how to raise kids. They didn't teach me about those programs. They didn't make me realize that maybe some of the behaviors that my parents have is not correct. It's not the proper way to do it. Maybe there are other ways. Maybe they do what they do because they learn things the wrong way, and we are just repeating it. If there were education where we can learn about this, I think the world will look very different, and that's one of the reasons that I'm doing these videos. And as always, the first thing is to be aware, because if we are not aware, we can't see it, we can't relate to it, we can't comprehend what is happening, what we are doing. And of course, we all want our kids to function. We want them to obey. We want them to be accepted. We want them to not do mistakes. We try to help them to avoid doing mistakes, help them to avoid being wrong in any way, but it's always our perception that we are putting on them, and the perception of society. What is wrong and what is right? How are you supposed to be? And there is a special, like a manual. This is how you're supposed to be to fit in society. And that is very much about suppressing who you really are and just obey the rules and fit in. And I think that we could now start to see that maybe we can learn to see the individual, and to see that all the children are different. They are not even meant to be the same, all of them. We are different, and that's the value of humanity, that we are not the same. So hopefully we can leave behind a little bit of all this. I have to raise my kid like this. I have to make sure it he her she him do whatever we are expected to do. And so many people manage to think and step over patterns, start to talk about it. I have seen very many people share, like, this is how grandmothers did, and then the next generation start to change it a little bit, and the next change it a little bit more. I can see it with my kids. They are much better moms. I only have daughters than I were. So I'm very positive. And I was listening to Bruce Lipton the other day, and he's a scientist who he developed stem cells, and he had from one stem cell he made a lot of them, so they were exactly the same. They were all equal. They looked the same, like a exact copy from the first one. And then he took all these stem cells and he divided them into 3 different groups, and he put them in different environments. And of course, environment for a cell is like some kind of liquid. I don't even know how he did it, but important is that all the cells were equal, but then uh, the different environment made the cells develop in a totally different way. So from these equal cells, he got 3 totally different cells depending on the environment. And for me, that is the bad thing, is that that is how we get programmed, from the environment. But at the same time, it proves that whatever is there can change if the environment change. And that means that we can change the environment for our kids. And when we grow up, even if I had a terrible childhood and I have so many negative programs, I can change the environment that I'm in. And I am my environment. So if I change my thoughts, if I change uh, the people I interact with, if I change the way I talk to myself, the way I look at myself, I change the environment for myself, which means that there is always a possibility to start changing the environment you're in. And as always, we need to realize that we have programs. We need to realize that we do things unconscious. We need to realize that we are not aware about everything we do. We think we are intelligent, but maybe we are. But we need to get rid of some shit first, so that we can be as good and perfect and intelligent that we actually are. So I encourage you to start thinking about what programs do you have, how do you raise your kids, or maybe how was you raised, how was your childhood, what was it like, and try to discover if you do things automatically that you might be able to do in a different way. If you can talk to yourself in a different way, how can you change your environment so that it's more friendly, um, that is more growing up friendly, more developing friendly. And as always, if we can change ourselves just a tiny little bit, that's a part of the whole universe. So every little positive change is a change in the bigger perspective. Please give me some comments and questions. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I wish you all the best and hope to see you soon again. Bye bye.